Welcome again. I'm Dana Beauchamp, and this is my family. My speech today will be on donating plasma. So, my thesis statement is to encourage you to donate plasma to help save lives. A brief history on plasma. Plasma was created by Charles R. Drew, born on June 3, 1904 in Washington, D.C. He was an African-American physician who developed ways to process and store blood plasma in blood banks. A pioneering African-American medical researcher, Dr. Charles R. Drew, made some groundbreaking discoveries in storage and processing of plasma and processing of blood for transfusion. He did his internship and his residency at the Royal Victoria Hospital and the Montreal General Hospital during this time. Dr. Charles Drew studied with Dr. John Beatty, and they examined problems and issues regarding blood transfusions. In 1938, Drew received a Rockefeller Fellowship to study at Columbia University and to train at the Presbyterian Hospital in New York City. There he continued his exploration of blood-related matters with John Scrubber. Drew developed a method for processing and preserving blood plasma, or blood without cells. Plasma lasts much longer than whole blood, making it possible to store or bank for long periods of time. He discovered that the plasma could be dried and then reconstituted when needed. As World War II raged in Europe, Drew was asked to head up a special medical effort known as Blood for Britain. He organized the collection and processing of blood plasma from several New York hospitals and the shipments of these life-saving materials overseas to treat casualties in war. According to one report, Drew helped collect roughly 14,500 pints of plasma. And you can find that at www.biograph.com of Charles R. Drew. Alright, so what is plasma? Plasma is a liquid portion of human blood. The vast majority of plasma, 92% of it, is composed of water. The other 8% of plasma is made up of special proteins and antibodies that help sustain our body's vital functions. A shortage of any one of these plasma proteins, such as albumin or immunoglobulins, can give rise to many life-threatening illnesses. To restore or replace missing proteins, patients are often administered protein therapies that derive from human plasma. Like this picture of coagulation products for hemophilia. So, what type of people need plasma? People with bleeding or blood clotting disorders such as hemophilia, von Willebrand disease, antithrombin 3 deficiency, people with immune deficiencies and autoimmune disease such as primary immunodeficiency disease or IPD, chronic inflammatory dementing polyneuropathology or CID, or Kawasaki disease. And then there's people with alpha-1 antitrypsin disease or deficiency, which is basically genetic emphysema. And other treatments and therapies for plasma would be burns, shock, trauma, major surgeries, RH incompatibilities, cardiopulmonary issues, organ transplants, pediatric HIV, hepatitis, liver conditions, animal bites. I'm going to share a story with you about a man named Matthew Singer Matthew Sr. never let hemophilia stand in his way. As a child, he wore a helmet and knee pads to protect him while playing, but he said, "I have a lot of friends from an early age that just accepted it." When he had to use a wheelchair due to bleeds in his ankles, his classmates eagerly volunteered to push him around. Matthew's parents were tireless in their effort to explain hemophilia in children's and kids' terms. Although hemophilia is most often a genetic disease, but in Matt's condition, there was no family history, and his condition was deemed a random mutation. His parents vowed from infancy to make his life as normal as possible. Matt has needed factor VIII infusions his entire life, from several times a week, which he administered himself since childhood. In high school, Matt volunteered with the ambulance squad, became CPR certified, and today works as a registered nurse in the emergency and trauma. He believes that having hemophilia has helped him emphasize with children who have chronic medical illnesses and serves as a positive role. Matt works as a counselor at Paul Newman's Hall and the Wall Camp for children with chronic illnesses that he attended as a child, and volunteers for Delaware Valley chapter of the National Hemophilia Foundation. Because of people donating plasma, he's able to live a normal life. So I'm going to walk you through the process of donating plasma. So the very first thing you need to do is eat a really healthy meal the 30 minutes before donating. You need to drink lots of water the day before and the day of your donation. You must be 18 years of age in order to donate. You must have your driver's license, your social security card, proof of residency, and then once you have all of that, you're going to fill out a new donor questionnaire, and after you fill out the new donor questionnaire, you're going to get your veins evaluated to make sure that you're able to donate. Then once you do that, you're going to go through what we call a screening process. You're going to get your weight taken, your blood pressure taken, your temperature taken, your hematocrit, and your total protein taken. And then while you're still in the screening process, we ask you medical history questions to ensure that your medical history hasn't changed. Once that's done, you're going to go through a physical. It's non-invasive, and there they're going to basically check you over, kind of like what your doctor would, but not as in-depth. And then they're going to ask you more questions, more medical history questions. Once you're done with your physical, they escort you to the donation floor and have you sit in a waiting area. Once you're called up to a phlebotomist, the phlebotomist walks you to a donor bed, and from the donor bed, they basically sit you down and they explain the whole entire donating process. There, the phlebotomist will put a cuff on your arm to basically puff up your veins so that way they can feel it. They clean the area with iodine using aseptic technique. Then they use the needle. Once that's done, after they've set the machine, they've stuck you and everything, the machine does a series of draws and returns. The very first cycle you're going to go through is a draw cycle. That's where it's spinning and separating the blood and plasma. Depending on how much plasma you donate depends on how much you weigh. So once you've collected a certain amount, it's going to return the blood back to you. And you're going to do several different cycles of draws and returns until you get the right collection weight. So once that process is done, it takes about 45 minutes. The phlebotomist is going to disconnect you. It's going to disconnect you, and they're going to escort you to another waiting area to get paid for your time and your donation. Now, what's in it for you? You can earn up to $260 a month, so lots of cash. Plus, you get a choice of a free t-shirt that says, "I saved a life," or you can get like a water bottle, a backpack, a squeezy ball, some really cool sunglasses, or just having that wonderful feeling of help saving a life. Now, in conclusion, there is a great need for someone like you to save a life So please come on down and donate plasma today.